I'm not entirely sure how long this experiment has been running, but now there is a noticeable difference between the treatments and their effects. Here are the controls. You can see that they're all alive, they're fairly green, and they have increased in size. These are just separatory lophophoras, and they were from a chemical treatment, and that's just to have a division. And here is the first treatment. These received 4 treatments in total at 1 week intervals. So this one seems pretty much dead. There is a root system, but there has been 0 growth, and it seems to be at the point that it's either rotting or it's just giving up. This one seems alright. And something I have noticed, even if there wasn't any damage that prevents growth from the apex, there does seem to be an increase in pupping on the treated. Here's another one too. On the treated lophophora, there does seem to be an increase in pupping. At first I thought it would be only if there's damage to the apex, but it seems that the Mimosa root bark extract causes a potential increase in pupping. And these two have also seemed to be dying or dead. Again, there is new root growth. Maybe it's just a delayed growth reaction or something. And here's 2 more chemical treatment that are just here to be dividers. This one has pupped quite a bit. And these are all from the same seed batch. They're just common lophophora. They're not the pupping type. And this one has received either 21 or 28 days of daily treatments of the mimosa extract at the same concentration as this, just to water the apex. So like the first treatment, this one has some that aren't faring as well. This one has grown nothing at all. It does seem more plump than the one I think is dead, but I'm fairly sure this one's also dead. It hasn't grown anything at all, and this one is not far behind. But the rest have, like I mentioned, the pupping effect. There's another pup on the corner here. But this one did have damage to the apex. It is outgrowing the damage, but this one is pupping excessively. This one I'm not sure if it's pupping or not. And this one is not growing much, but it did pup as well, despite not having excessive damage to the apex. So visually there isn't much of a benefit. If anything, it's detrimental to them, since the survival rate is maybe 8, 16, 24, 30%, maybe a little lower, 25 to 30% survival rate. But it is interesting that there is such an effect of a alkaloid that isn't natural to the plant having an impact on the growth parameters and survival. These were also treated, but they had no control, and I didn't count the amount of applications I did. But this one, I'm not sure if it's just growing out of the damage or if it induced a monstrose growth pattern. It could just be outgrowing the damage like this one. You can see it. It's hard to tell so far. In the beginning there was a pretty pronounced color change to the skin of these astrophytum, but they seem to have outgrown it, and some of them weren't even affected. This one wasn't affected at all. And for the lophophora, many of them, even if they were damaged, they only did a single pup rather than multiple heads. But then this one and another maybe have a monstrose or possibly crested growth pattern. And here's another one. The damaged apex is common to cause pupping, but it seems quite excessive, and this one seems to even be variegated slightly. So it's an interesting experiment and interesting result. This one looks like a little butthole. And it provided some mixed results. Like I mentioned, some just didn't seem phased at all and nothing happened to them. But particularly these two, the growth pattern seems to have changed quite dramatically. And just so that this is clickbait, it seems that these lophophora are now enlightened and they're growing in a fractal growth pattern. So do I think this treatment is worthwhile repeating? I mean, it depends really on what you're looking for. This is, if this does cause any mutated growth rate or growth patterns, maybe it activates some recessive trait. It may be worthwhile even if you have a somewhat high mortality rate. This may help certain breeding projects. The availability and costs may deter some people, but this extract can be provided by a few different plants. I have some growing in my collection, and it can easily be obtained sustainably, and it's quite interesting to find other purposes for certain chemicals and amines besides scientific or besides religious use, finding other purposes like inducing pups or inducing mutations. I find that worthwhile even if it just fails completely. And yeah, I'll keep this growing for a while longer, maybe just the entire season, and see how well it fills out this planter.